Unless otherwise indicated, all the following scripture quotations are taken from the Holy Bible, New Living Translation, with copyright by Tyndale Foundation, used by permission of Tyndale House Publishers, all rights reserved.
Okay, so all the kids in South Africa just went back to school today, like full on normal school schedule, and I think it's a huge mistake, and here's why. Hi, I'm Peachy Pie. Welcome back to my channel, and this is a mini applause for you. Why do you get a mini applause? Because you are quite simply amazing, and because you made it through yesterday and today. And since I have faith that you're gonna make it through to tomorrow, why don't you just hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so that you can be here when I post another video. Yeah, well, this topic doesn't need any further introduction, so let's just get straight into it. Well, I think that number one, first reason why it was a mistake to send kids back full time is because you can put face shields on them and make them wear masks in the corridors and while sitting in class. And you can even put shields around their desks and tell them to social distance. But when they go out to lunch breaks, they are not going to do any of those things. They're going to sit together, they're going to play sports, they're going to chat with each other within 6 feet or 6 feet 2 meters or so distance. They are going to share lunch, they are going to drink from the same bottles, because kids are used to doing those things and that's what they're going to do. Their first mentality isn't, oh yes, I need to be careful of COVID precautions. Their first instinct is probably going to be to fit in with the group. So it doesn't really matter if you put up the shields and stuff. And bringing them back to school full time is just going to see those cases skyrocket, even if the Omicron variant isn't as dangerous as the predecessors of the virus. Anyway, number two, internationally prominent schools have a tendency to have distance learning as an option, and there's a lot of different reasons for this, but I think that for especially teenagers it could be beneficial for them to start joining the workforce part-time, because everybody knows that when you want to start an entry-level job, they ask you for 6 years of experience in a level 1 career. So I think it's a good opportunity for them to have some working experience going forward. Okay, point number 3. I thought that we could finally put an end to the uniforms and dress code crap, because I just think that it would be good for kids and teens to show a little self-expression. I thought that would be healthier for them, and also uniforms are crap expensive, and I just think that they suck, and a lot of the time they're really unflattering, which doesn't actually help teenagers with their self-esteem issues, which a lot of them have. But anyway, that's just me. Also, number 4, I believe that misbehavior at schools was at a minimum because there were less people to misbehave at schools. And this means that it was really good for teachers, right? Another thing that made it good for teachers is that teachers didn't have to interrupt their lessons with telling kids to be quiet and sit down, stop being disruptive, don't draw on the desk, don't draw on the wall, because the kids weren't at school. And they might have turned off their cameras or whatever during Zoom classrooms and stuff. So you kind of didn't care if they weren't paying attention. And if they had to keep their cameras on, they could keep their cameras on and do a whole bunch of crap on the side with you barely noticing and not really paying attention. So, so I really thought that it was a little bit easier on kids and on teachers, which is point number 5, right? Teachers could pre-record their lessons and pop it online and then just be in the chat for people if they have questions or anything, and they could just answer the questions, which I think is a way more effective way of learning. And I also think that when it comes to marking and stuff like that, it's much easier for teachers to have that work online, so that kids can maybe submit their work online, and then teachers could have algorithms drawn up for them to just mark the entire thing. And so kids could get graded in a minute. An entire class could get graded in a short period of time, which is so much more effective. And I think that by sending our kids back to school, we're actually showing how technologically backwards we are. And that's just my opinion on that. Anyway, number 6, I feel like it was less stress on the kids to not be at school, because they could sleep in later. Some kids have to travel really far, from really far distances to go to school, sometimes maybe 20, 30, 40, maybe even 50 kilometers to school I'm not sure about 50 kilometers, but there are some kids that do travel that far every day. Like that's like a one-way trip for like 30 kilometers, and it takes them hours to get to school, so they have to leave like first thing in the morning, and then they have to leave first thing in the afternoon, and they get home like 7 o'clock in the evening. And it's so unhealthy, it's so stressful, the bags are so heavy. And I think that kids being able to be at home without having to take out their notebooks and carry their notebooks was just so good and healthy for our kids emotionally, and just so stress relieving. I think that's super important that we care about the mental health of our kids and teens. Okie dokie. And number 7, the most important reason why we should not have let our kids stay in school full time in South Africa especially is because of infrastructure. Now you might not think that this is relevant. You might be like, what are you talking about? But just think about it for a second. Infrastructure. When there were less people on the roads were being repaired easily, frequently, because there was less disruptions to that happening. There was less opportunities for companies to be like, oh no, we can't because there's too much traffic, oh no, there's rain, whoop-de-doo kind of things. Less excuses for government to like not provide those services, right? Another thing that I noticed was that the fiber rollout in different areas since the start of the pandemic, y'all, was like boom. When the pandemic hit, there was like a pause for a couple months, and then boom, everywhere was getting fiber. And I believe that this was because kids and adults and everybody was at home and they needed to work and they needed these services available. So that put this pressure on government to be like, no, you guys need the tenders to be approved so you can go into the areas now and provide fiber and provide other internet services so we can keep people connected and keep people working, or our economy can collapse. And so I feel like sending our kids back to school before we've actually reached that pinnacle of working on the connections and the infrastructure in our country is going to be so detrimental, because now those governmental organizations or private companies that have government tenders have gotten the excuses back now. They've gotten the opportunity to make the excuse and say, oh, we can't implement this because of that. Oh, we can't do this because of that. And we're not going to be able to put that there or do this there. And it will take years and years to get that service delivery. And I think that this is one of the main reasons why we should have kept kids and people at least partially at home, because we could have really put that pressure on the government to work on our infrastructure, especially when it comes to technology and 5G and fiber, so that we can be connected and be at a standard when it comes to our internet services of that compatible with the rest of the world. And I think that we are really disadvantaging ourselves right now by sending our kids back to school, by people going back to work full time, because we are not going to be able to adapt as fast to what's happening in the rest of the world as a result. That's just my personal opinion. I'd love to hear what you have got to say and what's happening in your country. If you are not from South Africa, just sound off in the comments, and be sure to like this video and subscribe if you enjoyed it, and stay tuned for your scripture of the day. Your scripture of the day comes from John 12 verse 38-40, which says, "This is exactly what Isaiah the prophet had predicted. Lord, who has believed our message? To whom has the Lord revealed his powerful arm?" But the people couldn't believe, for as Isaiah also said, "The Lord has blinded their eyes and hardened their hearts, so that their eyes cannot see and their hearts cannot understand, and they cannot turn to me and have me heal them." Thank you so much for being here with me. I really hope that you enjoyed talking about this topic. Don't forget to sign off in the comments and like, comment and subscribe, and enjoy the rest of your day, because you absolutely deserve it. Cheers!
그대 잠깐 눈을 붙일 때 나는 마음에 물을